The sun dipped low over Dusty Gulch, painting the sky crimson. Eliza Worthington, a city heiress in a silk dress, stepped off the stagecoach, her eyes wide at the rugged town. She clutched a letter from her late uncle, promising a fortune hidden in the canyon, but the map was vague and she needed a guide. Whispers led her to the saloon, where a giant loomed at the bar, his hat brushing the ceiling. The giant was Caleb, a cowboy standing 7 feet tall, with shoulders like a barn door. His deep voice rumbled as he sipped whiskey, locals giving him a wide berth. Eliza, undaunted, marched up, her heels clicking. "You're Caleb Boone?" she asked, tilting her head to meet his gaze. He nodded, amused by her boldness. "I need a guide to Coyote Canyon," she said. "It's dangerous," he warned. Eliza smirked, unfurling the map. "Danger's my middle name," she lied, her voice barely steady. Caleb chuckled, his laugh like rolling thunder. "Too big a job for a city gal," he teased, eyeing her fancy dress. "Too big for me. But I'll try," she whispered, her cheeks flushing. Caleb raised a brow, intrigued. "All right, missy. We leave at dawn." She nodded, heart racing at the adventure ahead. At sunrise, Eliza met Caleb at the stable, her dress swapped for borrowed trousers. Caleb saddled a massive horse Blaze, while Eliza struggled with a pony. "Ever ridden?" he asked. She shook her head, wobbling as she mounted. Caleb's giant hand steadied her, warm and firm. "Hold tight," he said, his grin softening her nerves. They rode out, the canyon's shadow looming in the distance. The trail was rough, rocks tumbling underfoot. Eliza gripped the reins, her city polish fading with each jolt. Caleb rode ahead, his size dwarfing the landscape. "Why Coyote Canyon?" he asked over his shoulder. Eliza hesitated, then spilled the truth. Her uncle's treasure, a chest of gold hidden deep in the rocks. Caleb's eyes narrowed. Plenty tried. None came back. She shivered but pressed on. By noon, the canyon's walls closed in, cool and ominous. Eliza's pony stumbled and she yelped. Caleb was there in a flash, catching her before she hit the ground. "Careful, city gal," he said, his arms like iron. Her breath caught, not from fear but his closeness. "I'm fine," she mumbled, brushing dust off her hat. He smirked, setting her back on the pony, his touch lingering. They camped under stars, the fire crackling. Eliza shared her uncle's letter, her voice soft. He said the treasure's guarded by a riddle. Caleb leaned back, his hat shading. His eyes. "Riddles ain't my thing, but I know these canyons." She studied him, his rugged face softened by firelight. "Why help me?" she asked. He shrugged. "Something about you makes me curious." She blushed. Dawn broke, and they pressed deeper into the canyon. Eliza noticed Caleb's ease with the wild, his hands gentle with Blaze, yet strong splitting wood. "You always been this big?" she teased. He grinned. "Born big, stayed big." She laughed, her fear easing. A distant howl echoed, and Caleb's hand went to his pistol. "Wolves," he muttered. Eliza's heart pounded, but she trusted him. The trail narrowed, forcing them to walk single file. Eliza's eyes traced Caleb's broad back, wondering about the man beneath the giant. A loose rock sent her slipping, and Caleb caught her again, his grip steady. "You're making this a habit," he teased. She swatted his arm, her hand tiny against him. "Keep me safe, cowboy," she said, half joking. His eyes held hers serious. "I will." By midday, they found a cave marked with strange carvings. Eliza's map pointed here. "The riddle," she whispered, reading, "where shadows dance, the heart lies still." Caleb frowned, scanning the dark entrance. "Sounds like trouble." Eliza squared her shoulders. "Too big for me. But I'll try," she repeated, stepping inside. Caleb followed, his sighs filling the cave's mouth. Inside, the cave was cool, lit by cracks above. Shadows flickered on the walls, mimicking dancers. Eliza's breath hitched. "The riddle," she said, pointing. Caleb squinted, his hand on her shoulder. "Careful. Could be a trap?" She nodded, heart racing, not just from danger but his nearness. They moved deeper, her small frame dwarfed by his, their steps echoing in the dim light. A stone slab blocked their path, carved with symbols. Eliza traced them, her fingers trembling. "It's a lock," she said. Caleb pushed, but it didn't budge. "Try the riddle," he urged. She whispered, "Where shadows dance," and pressed a symbol shaped like a heart. The slab rumbled, sliding open. Caleb whistled, "Smart city gal." She grinned, her confidence growing under his gaze. Beyond the slab, a chest gleamed, gold coins spilling out. Eliza gasped, but Caleb grabbed her arm. "Wait!" A low growl echoed. A massive wolf stepped from the shadows, eyes glowing. Eliza froze, but Caleb stepped forward, his size matching the beast's menace. "Stay back," he told her, voice calm. She clutched the map, heart pounding. As Caleb faced the guardian of the treasure, the wolf lunged and Caleb dodged, his movements surprisingly swift. Eliza screamed, fumbling for a rock. "Stay put," Caleb barked, wrestling the wolf. His strength held it at bay, muscles straining. Eliza's fear turned to awe. With a final shove, Caleb pinned the wolf, which whimpered and fled. He turned, panting. "You okay?" She nodded, breathless. "You're incredible." He grinned. They approached the chest, Eliza's hands shaking as she lifted the lid. Gold glinted, enough to make her richer than her wildest dreams. But her eyes kept drifting to Caleb, his sweat-streaked face lit by the treasure's glow. "We did it," she whispered. He nodded, his gaze soft. "You're braver than you look." She laughed, warmth spreading through her. The treasure felt secondary now. As they hauled the chest out, Eliza stumbled, and Caleb caught her again. "You gotta stop fouling for me," he teased, his voice low. Her cheeks burned. "Maybe I can't help it," she shot back bold. His eyes widened, then softened. For a moment, the canyon faded, and it was just them. She cleared her throat. "We should get moving." He nodded, but the air between them had shifted. The return trail was easier, the chest strapped to Blaze. Eliza rode closer to Caleb, their banter lighter now. "What'll you do with the gold?" he asked. She shrugged. "Maybe buy a ranch. You could work it." He raised a brow. "Me, work for you?" She grinned. "Or with me?" His laugh boomed, and she felt a spark. The city heiress was starting to love the wild. At dusk, they reached Dusty Gulch, the chest hidden under a tarp. Locals gawked at the pair, whispering about the giant and the city gal. Eliza didn't care. She felt alive, changed. Caleb tied Blaze, his eyes on her. "You leaving now?" he asked. She hesitated. "Not yet." "Got a ranch to buy," he smirked. "Need a partner?" Her heart skipped. "Maybe I do," she said softly. They shared a meal at the saloon, the chest safe in a locked room. Eliza sipped whiskey, coughing, while Caleb laughed. "City gal's got grit," he said. She leaned closer, emboldened. "And you're not too big for me to handle." His eyes twinkled with surprise, then warmth. The room faded as they talked, her polished voice blending with his rough drawl. A perfect harmony. Days passed, and Eliza bought a small ranch outside town. Caleb helped, his giant hands fixing fences with ease. She watched him, marveling at his strength and kindness. "Why stay?" she asked one evening, the sunset gilding his face. He shrugged. "You're trouble, but the good kind," she laughed, stepping closer. "Too big for me." "But I'm trying," she whispered. He grinned, leaning down. Their first kiss was under the stars, his lips gentle despite his size. Eliza's heart raced, her city walls crumbling. "You're not what I expected," she murmured. "Neither are you," he replied, his voice a low rumble. They stood close, the ranch quiet around them. The treasure had brought her here, but Caleb was the real prize. She felt home for the first time in his arms. The ranch thrived, Eliza learning the ropes with Caleb's guidance. She traded silk for denim, her hands calloused but happy. Caleb taught her to ride properly, his patience endless. "You're a natural," he said as she galloped beside him. She grinned, wind in her hair. Had a good teacher. Their laughter echoed, the canyon's dangers a distant memory. They were a team now. One night, a storm hit, lightning cracking the sky. Eliza and Caleb worked to secure the horses, rain soaking them. She slipped in the mud, and he pulled her up, both laughing. "You're a mess," he said, brushing mud. From her cheek, "Your mess," she replied, eyes bright. He kissed her, rain mixing with their warmth. The ranch, the gold, the wild, it was all theirs now, together. Word of the treasure spread, drawing greedy eyes. A bandit gang rode into town, demanding the gold. Eliza stood firm, Caleb at her side. "It's ours," she declared. The leader sneered, but Caleb's towering presence silenced him. "Leave," Caleb growled, hand on his pistol. The bandits backed off, cowed by the giant cowboy. Eliza squeezed his hand, grateful for his strength. The town celebrated their victory, the saloon alive with music. Eliza danced with Caleb, her small frame lost in his arms. Locals cheered, calling them the canyon's heroes. She looked up at him, her heart full. "We're a good team," she said. He twirled her, his grin wide. "Best I ever had." The music swelled, and Dusty Gulch felt like home. Their story just beginning. Months later, the ranch was a haven, cattle grazing, under wide skies. Eliza and Caleb sat on the porch, her head against his shoulder. "Thought I came for gold," she said. "Found something better," he chuckled, his arm around her. "Told you I was too big." She nudged him, laughing. "And I said I'd try." Their love, like the canyon, was vast, wild, and theirs alone. The treasure funded the ranch, but Eliza shared it, rebuilding the town's school and clinic. Caleb helped, his strength a local legend. They were no longer the heiress and the giant, just Eliza and Caleb, partners in every sense. She looked at him one evening, her eyes soft. "Worth every risk," she said. He kissed her forehead. "You're my treasure," he murmured, and she smiled as seasons turned. Their legend grew, the city gal and the giant cowboy who conquered the canyon. Eliza never returned to the city, her heart rooted in the wild. Caleb, once a loner, found purpose in her fire. They faced every challenge together, their love stronger than any treasure. "Too big for me," she'd tease, and he'd laugh, knowing she'd always try and win.